Star Dynasties grabbed my attention last year with its premise: use espionage, schemes, and war to expand your empire, one that is passed down through your own family lineage. There's an immediate parallel to another very well-known franchise right off the bat, Crusader Kings. And indeed, this is how I interpret it, just in space. The idea is excellent. I mean, who wouldn't enjoy the mechanics of Crusader Kings in space? Think of the ways you could further your dynasty and your empire. And the battles, I mean, man, the battles should be awesome, right? That's what I'll aim to go over in this review. Before I do, I want to emphasize that this is an early access game. The mechanics I'll go over are, hopefully, still very much in development, balancing will be off, and it does feel like an unfinished game at the moment. There are timestamps in the description of the video so you can skip along to your heart's content. With that in mind, let's dive into this short early access review of Star Dynasties. Star Dynasties is developed by Poly Games and published by Iceberg Interactive, known for their indie games. The game itself has an interesting backdrop. Humans began colonizing space, expanding to worlds unknown, and creating a vast presence in the universe. Then, suddenly and unexplained, Earth is destroyed. The fallout from that loss causes chaos and the whole scene goes dark. Hundreds of years later, what emerges is a rudimentary medieval-like feudal system with lords and ladies, barons, archons, and a huge emphasis on ensuring that your family endures as your empire expands. The ultimate goal is to create the largest empire in the area by accruing a certain number of systems, be it through conquest or politics. Again, this sounds exactly like Crusader Kings, but with an actual endgame. There are some exceptions that help it stand out though. Instead of a real-time strategy game, it's turn-based. And instead of being able to do anything and everything before you end that turn, you have a certain number of action points, much like an RPG system. Every action within the game costs you a number of AP, and once that runs out, you're done for that turn. There are other differences, yet they are pretty minor aside from battles, which we'll get into in a bit. Even the skill sets, traits, council positions, claims, secrets, and opinion modifiers, they all scream of Crusader Kings. In my short time playing on stream and offline, I really felt like I was just playing a reskinned mod for CK3 with some more basic mechanics. There wasn't enough to make it really stand out in comparison, and as such, there didn't feel like much was new, just some space UI that honestly looked more like Stellaris. As mentioned twice already, a key part in Star Dynasties is ensuring that your dynasty endures, and that means keeping a close eye on your family and, of course, having an heir. While I agree that in these types of games that family is indeed very important, in Star Dynasties, they matter a bit too much, and by a bit, I mean a lot. When it comes to appointing council members, you can only choose members of your family. When it comes to assignments or actions, nearly every single one of them requires a family member to carry it out. Yourself, as the head of an entire empire, have maybe 2 or 3 actions that you can actually do yourself. These actions and assignments take a number of turns to complete, which are determined by the skills of your family members, which can only take on 1 action or assignment at a time. This becomes increasingly problematic as you have a family member cap that slaps a penalty on you if you go above it, and children count towards that cap. Meaning that, say your cap is 11 people, and there are 5 kids in this galactic family, you only have 5 adult family members to carry out all of your actions, excluding yourself, which again can only do 2 or 3. This alone stopped me from playing the game and is my biggest negative towards it. Having sent out all of my family members to do their actions early in this game, I'm left with 1 or 2 things to do before in-turn spamming while I wait for my 5 adults to complete their actions, some of which almost took 20 turns to complete. There are few things that kill my desire to play a game than having nothing to do for several turns in a row, only to then turn right around, send out those family members for an X amount of turns to do another action, and then again having nothing to do for several turns. There is a pretty easy solution to this. Don't limit the game and actions to family members. Crusader Kings thrives because, while you can and certainly will use family members for actions, you also have access to about anyone within your own empire. Why can't I use my subjects in this game? Surely I have some sort of court with nobles or randoms just waiting to be used. Why can't I place one of my vassals in a council position? Limiting actions to your own family members severely limits this game as a whole, and it's something that desperately needs addressed quickly. There is one area of the game that surprised me, and I'm not adverse to its execution, at least not entirely. Battles in Star Dynasties are decidedly different from other strategy games. Being a politically based game with vassals and alliances, on attacking a neighboring region for a space battle, you can call on your subjects to help you take on that system. Their opinion of you, along with other factors, determines if they answer that call or if they refuse. If they answer, then they'll bring in all of their ships, of which there are 3 types in a 100% rock, paper, scissors system. Each ship has a huge advantage over one type while being very vulnerable to the other. When it's time to attack, you assign a family member to control the fleet, which can be you if you're the best fit. Family members can have traits that provide certain battle formations or tactics that can give you a leg up against the enemy. Once battle is initiated, you'll choose from the sets of tactics available, gambling on the enemy choosing something that doesn't counter what you choose. Dice rolls are on a 0 to 50 scale, and the combination of rolls and tactics determines how many sets of ships were lost. If there are still ships remaining at the end of 3 rolls, whoever has the most ships is the winner. I ended up enjoying this system aside from the dice roll aspect. Trying to play the enemy using your available tactics is a great strategic layer to the game, and one that I didn't expect to be in at all. The 3 ships are a bit basic, but I expect that to be expanded on in the future to add even more strategic layers to battles. However, the dice roll RNG part of battles had me praying repeatedly to RNJesus for salvation. While I don't know the specifics in the dice roll advantages, a dice roll from 0 to 50 has a massive impact on this battlefield that can take away any tactic and make it utterly useless. I can have superior tactics and numbers, but because I rolled a 4 and the enemy rolled a 48 means that I get wrecked. As for this solution, I can't provide one as I'm not well versed enough in RNG balancing, but it did cause some frustration when my navy was superior in every way, but I got messed up because I'm not blessed with the RNG numbers. This last quick section involves a rather huge gap that goes unanswered in the game, and that revolves around technology. This game revolves around spacefaring technology. You can send family members halfway across the galaxy. You can have massive space battles. You can even revive an abandoned colony and claim it as your own. But there's not a single technological advancement that can be had. Somehow, in 300 years, these spacefaring people couldn't reverse engineer a single piece of tech. There's no tech tree. Your technology council member position only influences your ability to recover from sicknesses or affect having children. There are several stars in the game that cannot be colonized because, according to the game, the technology to colonize has been lost. There's no new ships. There's nothing to progress your civilization forward because somehow there's just no way to develop technology. I can get behind a space feudal society in a game that's totally feasible, considering space tech and a power to overlord people who don't have it. But using the feudal space society as an excuse to not have developing technology is just bizarre and unfitting for any science fiction setting, unless there's something larger at work that's unseen, which does not seem to be the case right now. Both myself and my community were baffled that I couldn't do anything with regards to tech in this game. I think it's pretty clear in my opinion of Star Dynasties. The premise has promise. I love the idea of Crusader Kings in space, or as a community member said, it's more like the setting of Dune. I love that I can make my daughter-in-law find out a secret about my brother, to use that as a reason to execute him, then betray my daughter-in-law to gain a subject. Feudal politics in space are fantastic, and it gave me a lot of hope for Star Dynasties. But it quickly fell flat as I kept playing. Limiting your empire actions to family members only, which themselves are severely limited in number, makes the game an in-turn spam and not very fun very quickly. Space battles need worked on, and technological advancement has to be implemented into the game. It just has to. There's too much right now that needs fixed for me to give it a thumbs up on the purchase. That being said, this is an early access game. There totally is time to expand and improve on the things that need fixing. Even though I can't recommend you buy this game now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't at least wishlist it to follow development. This game has a huge amount of potential, it's just too tight and rigid at the moment. Perhaps I'll give it a full review when the game releases in full access somewhere down the road. That'll be all for my early access review on Star Dynasties. Hope you enjoyed the review and understand the process and standards by which I created it. If you would be so kind as to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on how you liked it, as well as comment on your thoughts, it would only help the channel grow. Thank you so very much for watching. Check out my Twitch for live streams and my Discord to be part of the community. Both links in the description. This is Havoc, and I will see you all in the next video.